I hope you take advantage of it. Now we have the $100 Platinum Eagle coin. This is phenomenal. It's 99.95% platinum precious metal coin. This is just absolutely amazing when you think of just that it's platinum. I mean, you're not only investing, but collecting something rare, but you're collecting platinum as well.
Right. Well, and this coin was just released, okay? Check this out. So it's proof platinum. This is a brand new thing that the United States government is doing. I'm doing 198 of these, of course, exclusive to us here at HSN. The United States government is doing an extremely limited platinum release, okay? Extremely limited platinum release. They're only doing 20,000 total coins. And they're 1 year only. It's a 3-year series that they're doing celebrating America. And as you can see here, this one says life. Next year's will be liberty. And then the last year will be happiness, or the pursuit of happiness.
Okay.
So you're going to have life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Love it.
Done in pure platinum in 1 year only designs. In the history of the United States Platinum Eagle, which they started making in 1997, they have never rotated the obverse of the coin. Okay. It has always been Lady Liberty. They've rotated the designs of the eagle on the reverse, but they've never taken Lady Liberty off the coin. And for a special, so this is a 1 year only design, folks, of 20,000 coins. It is selling out. It's going to be gone instantaneously. Now, we've got out of that only 198 exclusive to us here at HSN in absolutely perfect proof, first day of issue. And the eagle that they have done on this, and you can see, the Platinum Eagle is a $100 face value coin, is a $100 face value coin. 1 ounce pure 9995 pure platinum that you're going to see in each one of those coins. Look at that eagle. Check this out, guys. I'm going to get this at a...
It's just gorgeous.
So oftentimes you see the eagle on American coinage, but how often do you are able to recognize it because of the technology of the dies as a bald eagle? As they have done this, as they've laser finished the dies for the head of the eagle right there, so you can clearly say that this is not just an eagle, but a bald eagle. That is a brand new technological advance done by the United States government. Of course, this coin available exclusively from us here at HSN in the Annex first day of issue. I love that eagle carrying the olive branch apiece that you're going to see right there in absolutely perfect proof condition.
So symbolic.
It's so symbolic. And then the 1 year only design of life on the front that you see right there. So you're going to, like I said, so next year, 2019, it's going to be, say, life, it's going to be liberty. And then the third year, and of course, if you're going to collect all three, you have to have the first one, and these are going to go quickly. Now, this representation right here is Lady Liberty.
Yeah, holding the child,
which is sowing the seeds in the furrows of the earth to show, you know, to show the fertileness of America, as you can see right there on our fruited plain, if you will.
The hope.
Is what you're looking at here. Once again, keep in mind, 1 ounce pure platinum. 1 ounce pure platinum, extraordinarily limited edition. This, I believe, is sold out. Uncertified, ungraded, is sold out from the United States government, if not very, very close to complete and total sellout. The big thing on this is early release. The early release on this went very, very quickly. So the first day of issue, an additional and wonderful designation of value. This is going to be one of, I think, the most significant collectibles put out by the United States government in recent memory, because it is a 1 year only design. So in other words, this will only occur. The United States government tends to have designs that go from year to year to year to year. They rarely, on big pieces of this, like the American Gold Buffalo, which we're going to have here in just a minute, it's the same buffalo, okay? It's the same obverse, it's the same reverse, they change the date, okay? On many of these coins, what happens is they do not change, okay? They do not change the obverse or the reverse on this. You know, that goes on. But in this, it's a 1 year only design. And that's, I think, of absolutely crucial importance to collectors. And then the brand new Eagle design, which will only be available for the 3 years of the program. So the reverse design will remain the same. The obverse will change, which makes it absolutely unique.
And the fact that you can see that it's the bald eagle, I think is phenomenal. The finish on this, the proof that it has that 70 perfect grade, and that's one of the most important factors when you're collecting coins. You pointed that out.
Yeah, and if you'll notice right there is the W or West Point mint mark. See that?
Oh, yes.
That's where the United States denotes this as a special presentation issue, that it's not just a bullion coin, which they do. This is the special proof version made expressly and exclusively for collectors that you see right there with that beautiful, spectacular West Point mint mark. And then, of course, there is Lady Liberty in its 1 year only design. Of course, the first day of issue annex version of this is available exclusively from us here, only 198 in what I think is going to be one of the single most important, single most desirable collectibles that are going to be put out by the United States government. It was released to tremendous fanfare, and as a matter of fact, sold extraordinarily well right out of the chute. And once it's gone, once again, as a 1 year only issue, that's it. So you really need to take advantage of it right here. Of course, comes in the red oak presentation box.
Yeah, the presentation box is so beautiful, adds to the presentation, makes a great gift if you know someone else, you know, that you're basically, you know, they collect just like you. You will be the envy of all coin collectors with this magnificent coin with Lady Liberty, and only 198. So once it's gone, once it sells out, there will be no more made with this designated first issue, right?
Right. Well, with the United States government, there's no more certified that's going to be that way. And then, of course, 1 ounce pure platinum that you're going to have right here. Just a brand new release, of course, by the government. But, of course, the first day of issue that you see right here, the perfect first day of issue, 100% exclusive to us here at HSN. So, once again, guaranteed lowest mintage, guaranteed lowest price, guaranteed, you know, all those things, which is what we love about selling our coins right here. Very, very popular. Only 198 in what I think will be one of the incredible collectibles put out by the United States government.
So iconic, but so is this 20